Well, I'm here to tell you there is some moving and shaking going on in the Indiana Fever organization because they have definitely let go of a player. Now, I know y'all thinking, what does this mean? This means Caitlin Clark return is sooner rather than later. Could that be why we did not see Caitlin come back? I mean, we did not see Caitlin travel with the team this past week. I don't know.
The whole basketball world is talking about a move that the Indiana Fever just made. The woman who was meant to be Caitlin Clark's temporary replacement, Kira Lambert, was fired more quickly than a fake sneaker at a Nike warehouse. All of a sudden, every Fever fan with a smartphone and a theory is connecting the dots and understanding Caitlin Clark's return.
Guys, today the Indiana Fever have officially released Kira Lambert, a guard from overseas who Stephanie White signed on a trust me bro recommendation. Somebody who Stephanie White didn't even know existed up until about 8 days ago. Unfortunately for Kira Lambert, her time on the Indiana Fever has come and her time on the Indiana Fever has gone. Best of luck to you and your future endeavors. This
isn't your average roster change. You have to wonder if the Indiana Fever are playing 4D chess while everyone else is still learning checkers in this type of chess match. Because it isn't performance when you waive someone's replacement before their 7-day contract has even passed. It has to do with creating space. Additionally, there is only one individual in Indiana for whom you should make accommodations.
Now, why is this move curious? Well, Lambert was on a 7-day deal, so the Fever could just be looking at this break knowing that her contract was going to expire anyway and not wanting to waste her time. But under the hardship rules, as that it has been, put out there and publicized, the Fever only had to release one of the two players between Odyssey Sims and Kira Lambert once Caitlin Clark was back. But one of them was going to have to go once they...
If you find this entertaining, please subscribe. The Indiana Fever essentially issued a casting call for anyone who could dribble a basketball and wouldn't inadvertently hand it to the other team last week, since they were in such dire need of a point guard. After a successful time in the Greek A1 League, Kira Lambert arrived with a wealth of international knowledge and the perfect words to describe her faith, blessings, and readiness for her moment. The woman spoke of trusting God and staying faithful throughout her path, as if she had been preparing for this moment her entire life.
It's a blessing, having the journey that I've had and just, remaining faithful, trusting God and doing the work, and just to see it all come back around and have this opportunity is awesome.
What's this opportunity in the W mean, given all that you've worked to get to this point?
Yeah. I mean, it means everything, to, again, just remain faithful and trust the process. It speaks to resiliency, it speaks to faith, and I'm really excited to be here.
What's your familiarity, if anything, with this team, with Steph, with how they want to run things?
Yeah, I've been watching the W for years. It's the best basketball in the world, so, I've been watching and I've been...
This is where things get juicy, though. Lambert was signed for more than just a roster place. She was brought in because the Fever was leaking point guards more quickly than water from a leaking faucet. Caitlin Clark continues to treat her obstinate groin issue. Ari McDonald broke his foot at the end of the season. Sydney Coulson suffered an ACL tear. The team essentially relied on the possibility that a local rec league cousin could fill point guard duties.
Clearly, Odyssey Sims has played herself into more of a role for the Fever. She got a bunch of minutes in the game on Sunday, 42 minutes for Sims. Lambert didn't play, right? So you can see relative one to the other where the Fever were looking at things from the pecking order standpoint. Now, there's also the Sophie Cunningham injury, but to be honest, I'm not sure how that would impact things unless they felt they needed somebody at that position rather than more depth at the point guard.
They offered Lambert a 7-day contract, which is equivalent to receiving a tryout for your ideal job in the WNBA, except that Lambert's tryout lasted roughly as long as a TikTok video. On August 17th, she appeared in less than a minute of action against the Connecticut Sun. And then she was gone by Monday. It's not that she didn't do well or that she couldn't take the pressure, but rather that someone else might return. someone who drives ESPN commentators crazy and fills 15,000-seat venues.
We just saw the most pointless contract of all time. The most pointless 7-day of all time. Kyra Lambert. They didn't even give Kyra Lambert a page on the WNBA website. I'm not joking. If you type in WNBA.com and you look at the Fever's last game, maybe they updated it because she actually saw the floor. Fever vs Connecticut. Kyra Lambert played a grand total of 4 seconds. She played 4 seconds. It would have been better off just to not play her. Oh wait, it rounded up to 5. They didn't even give her a WNBA page. They did not even give her a WNBA.
Here, fans of the Fever are acting like detectives and piecing together information as if they were cracking a murder case. The Fever had space to work with when they signed veteran guard Odyssey Sims, as Independent Star beat reporter Chloe Peterson noted weeks ago. They wouldn't have to break up with anyone when Caitlin Clark returned if they simply stayed with Sims. However, basic logic indicates that when the Queen takes back her throne, one of them had to depart once Lambert was included. Guess who was the first to receive the pink slip? Lambert.
No, Sims.
The veteran, 33, has played in 304 games during her career. Lambert. The woman who was meant to act as a buffer until Clark got back. The woman who talked about possibilities, dreams, and having faith in the process.
Fever fans, I don't know, we might have some good news. Well, we might have some great news. Cece, my precious Cece, might be returning. Might be. You hear me? Because they just released Kyra Lambert. You hear me? She had 3 ACL tears. So she wasn't good for nothing anyway. She fragile. How you have that many ACL tears? But thank you for providing us 7 days of your presence. You hear me? We needed you to fill in. You hear me? Because the GOAT, the greatest of all time, is about to return and do.
However, since the timing here is more accurate than a Swiss watch, let's discuss timing. Caitlin Clark's anticipated return date was moved from August 12th, which came and went, to August 26th, when the Fever played the Seattle Storm at home, according to a recent update to ESPN's injury report. A certain superstar will have plenty of opportunity to regain practice rhythm during the Fever's convenient week-long break, which begins following their Sunday matchup with Connecticut. ESPN's broadcast crew even mentioned that coach Stephanie White hopes Clark will resume practicing with the team during this break, realizing that she will need to rehearse for several days before playing a game. And what is place immediately following that pause? 2 matches against Minnesota and the home matchup with Seattle on August 26th. The precise games that ESPN is aiming for in light of Clark's possible comeback.
But we did know that once Caitlin Clark was back, one of the 2 hardship signings was going to have to go. So that's naturally where people's heads were thinking when it was reported on the ESPN broadcast that Clark, the hope was she would return to practice this week with target dates the 22nd, 24th, 26th, those games being thrown out as potential return dates. Now, I don't have any other updates on that. I mean, I took Stephanie White's comments as they hope still she returns at the regular season a little less confident than the previous.
Let's see. Just before their break week begins, Lambert is waived. The end of that break coincides exactly with Clark's projected return. Sims, a veteran, is retained by the team while the foreign import is cut. Coincidences must be having a field day in Indiana if this isn't a planned event. The response from fans has been nothing short of explosive. Caitlin Clark Celebration Presents, countdown timers, and conspiracy theorist-worthy speculation are all over social media. The Fever, who are currently in 18-15, are fighting fiercely to stay in the playoffs. They are only 2.5 games ahead of 9th place, which would disqualify them from the playoffs. They are currently 3.5 games outside of the 2nd overall seed, and just 3 games behind the New York Liberty. Those lofty aspirations don't seem so hard now that Clark is back. Kyra Lambert, poor thing, probably felt she was getting lucky. After dominating in the Greek A1 league for 4 years, this woman finally had her chance at WNBA glory. She talked about how the chance meant everything to her in terms of sticking with her and having faith in the process. She was greeted warmly by the Fever organization, and she appeared sincere in her desire to help a squad she had spent years admiring and researching.
Can the Fever please invest in international scouts? They definitely need to invest in international scouts because I know your boy John Liquidator ain't the best advocate when it comes to overseas players, but something I would say, they play hard, bro. Those overseas players play like they got something to prove. I give them that. But far as me, I feel like we got enough talent here at home in our home country to get players. Somebody said every day I question if Amber Cox and Stephanie White are even on the same page.
However, in the harsh world of professional sports, knowing the rules and fitting in flawlessly are irrelevant if a superior candidate is returning. Because Lambert wasn't good enough. She wasn't cut. Since she was never intended to be permanent, she was cut. She served as a stand-in, a bridge, and a short-term solution while the real solution healed. Let's face it, what would the return of Caitlin Clark mean for the Indiana Fever? However, this goes beyond simply regaining their top scorer or main creator. Prior to her injury, she was averaging 16.5 points, 8.85 rebounds, and 5 assists. Regaining the gravitational pull that drives everything else is the goal here. When Clark returns, the club will be even more dangerous, according to coach Stephanie White. She's not just blowing smoke either. This team has developed chemistry and tenacity that they lacked the previous season, as they have learned to play without their best player. In Clark's absence, players like Natasha Howard, Aaliyah Boston, and Kelsey Mitchell have stepped up and demonstrated their ability to contribute significantly. She won't have to bear the whole burden when Clark returns. She will be the last component needed to turn an already strong squad into something truly formidable.
Throughout her second season in the WNBA, Caitlin Clark has posted 16.5 points, 5 rebounds, and 8.8 assists per game for the Indiana Fever. Clark started the season on a tear under Stephanie White, but has since struggled to stay on the court, playing her second season as a professional. The Fever have 9 remaining games of their regular season schedule. They have a long break before their next matchup on Friday. The venue will be open, giving Clark a chance to rehab as the Fever takes several days off from game action.
This is when the exciting part begins. The Fever would qualify for the playoffs with their current 6th place ranking, but they would not have home court advantage. However, with 11 games left and Clark perhaps making a comeback, certain lofty objectives don't seem so unrealistic anymore. One analyst did a wonderful job of breaking down the numbers. This season, Clark has missed 20 games, and his Fever has been 10-10. Imagine, however, if she had participated in those 20 games and they had won 15-5. They would suddenly be in the running for a considerably higher spot at 23-10. The Fever's current record nevertheless puts them just 3 games behind New York and 3.5 games behind the 2nd overall seed. Having Caitlin Clark return for the last stretch may be exactly what propels them into genuine postseason contention in a league where momentum can change suddenly and hot streaks matter. The ideal situation that supporters are speculating about. The team becomes hot, Clark returns healthy, and they have a serious chance to not only qualify for the playoffs but also possibly host a playoff series. For a team that hasn't qualified for the playoffs since 2016, that would be absolutely incredible.
Fever, we have a chance. But the only thing I'm concerned about is she 100% healthy? You hear me? And I need to know what's going on with Sophie. Because that's her enforcer. Because everybody else on the team be acting like they scared and softer than Charmin tissue. You hear me? Y'all better protect my precious CC by any means necessary. Playoffs. That's right there in the view. You hear me? Here we come. The referees need to get it in gear. I still don't trust Stephanie.
Everything begins to make sense when one looks back at the personnel changes made by the Fever in recent weeks. Odyssey Sims, a seasoned guard with a strong playoff track record, was the first player they signed. When they required extra depth, they added Lambert, but they planned these movements to give them the most flexibility possible. They have retained veteran leadership while getting ready for Clark's return by maintaining Sims and firing Lambert. When the franchise player returns, Sims can go back into a smaller position while still contributing consistent minutes and leadership. This type of strategic thinking implies that the front desk was fully aware of what they had been doing the entire time. Panic management was not what this was. This strategic roster building was intended to maintain the team's competitiveness while preparing for the return of its best players. Additionally, it will appear to be a team masterpiece if the timing pans out as fans hope.
That they are being extraordinarily deliberate with every step in this process when it comes to Caitlin Clark. But like I said on Sunday, that's the kind of win, if I'm CC, that I watch and say, I got to get back out there. Like, nothing can stop me from rejoining this team this season. That fight that they showed out.
However, while everyone is preoccupied with Clark's return, they are overlooking this. This circumstance has demonstrated the depth and character that this Fever team has grown into. Even without their finest player, they have won important games. With numerous injuries, they have managed to contend against postseason opponents. They've learned that their supporting cast is far more powerful than anyone had thought, and that players like Natasha Howard can be effective offensive weapons. Clark won't be rejoining the team that had trouble early in the season when she does return. She will return to a team that has learned how to play team basketball, grind out wins, and win ugly. Postseason runs may be possible with that kind of basis. The other rippling effect is that the league as a whole is observing. Teams that may have dismissed the Fever as a one-player show will now need to get ready for a far more diverse squad. This hot team may be dangerous in ways no one anticipated because of the element of surprise that comes with a returning superstar and a battle-tested supporting group.
If she's going to play, I hope that she comes back successful. I hope that she can come back as a difference maker because the playoffs are around the corner and the Indiana Fever are much better when she's on the team. She takes so much responsibility and able to dictate pace and able to control the momentum of the game and also generate points for herself and for others. And she makes the game easier for all her teammates. So I know they would love to have her back. My biggest concern is the injuries, and for selfish reasons, I would prefer her, Paige Beckers, Angel Reese to just sit out for the rest.
This is what everyone is genuinely curious about. What time will Caitlin Clark be back? The Seattle game on August 26th appears to be the most likely debut, but the clues point to anywhere between August 22nd and August 26th. In order to protect Clark's long-term health, Coach Stephanie White has been cautious not to commit to any certain dates, stating that it's day-to-day and stressing that they're taking things slowly. However, things are starting to fit together. White expects that Clark will resume practicing during the week-long break that begins following the Connecticut game, according to ESPN's broadcast team. Lambert's publication indicates the clearing of roster space. The schedule is exactly in line with earlier forecasts of injury recovery. Before the playoffs begin on September 14th, Clark will have about 10 to 12 regular season games to regain her rhythm if, and this is still an if, she returns around August 26th. That's plenty time for her to recover from rust, reestablish her rapport with her teammates, and fully activate the team's attacking scheme.
I mean, it has come down to this season and Caitlin Clark's return. If they hope to make the playoffs, this is what's got to be done. She's got to come back, and she's going to have to win. And she's got to win even with Stephanie White as her coach. Good Lord, she will be the GOAT if she can pull that off at this point.
Consider the Fever go on a tear, winning 8 of their 10 games as Caitlin Clark returns healthy for the season's last 10 games. Their final record, which is between 26-14 and 27-13, is sufficient to earn them home court advantage in the opening round of the playoffs. They have confidence, momentum, and a star-studded supporting cast going into the postseason. Is it feasible? Perhaps. Is it feasible? Of course. The Fever have demonstrated their ability to compete without Clark. And despite having numerous injuries, they have had moments of genius. There is no reason why they couldn't become hot at the perfect moment now that their franchise player is healthy and returning. Conference in the although Westies has a ton of talent, there is a lot of competition in the Eastern Conference playoffs. Although they are good, teams like Atlanta and New York are not invincible. The WNBA playoffs might be the narrative of a healthy, driven, and ferocious team that has nothing to lose and everything to prove.